Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of the Runnin the Paint podcast. I'm Miles. I'm here with Nick. Nick, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Happy to be back. Ready to roll.
Yes, sir. It's been a long week for us. We weren't able to give you an episode on Tuesday. We were both sick.
Battling the sickness.
Dude, it was terrible. We
Yeah.
had all kinds of stuff. Nick had the norovirus. I had food poisoning.
We
Terrible
got better stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we got better stuff to talk about. We're here and we're finally back. Things have started to slow down a little bit for us, and we're now going to be back 2 times a week, every Tuesday and every Friday here on the Runnin the Paint podcast, just in time for this playoff push. There's so much stuff to talk about. As the day we're recording this episode, we are exactly 1 month away from the end of the regular season, and there's still so much to talk about. We're kind of at the point of the season where there is still a lot of stuff going on, but it does kind of feel like a drag at the same time.
Well, there's a lot to play for. There's a lot to figure out.
No question about it. And that's why it's so important that March Madness is coming on right around this time to give the fans what we're looking for. For any college basketball fans out there, make sure you go check out Coach Kov'S BBall breakdowns for some college hoops, man. But let's get started this episode with the PERTL. We've been doing very well since the calendar switched to 2025. So let's see what we got today. Nick, you got a player you want to guess?
I feel like you never have a player. Why don't you guess a player today?
Oh, you want me to guess a player? All right. I'll come up with a player.
Let's see. Never have one. I can guess one if you want.
No, you're right. I never really have guessed one before. So I'll go with the guy that we were talking about before recording because he's on fire right now. I'll go Kevin Porter Jr.
Heck yeah.
Going crazy against the Lakers right now. And that was a terrible guess. All right. Western Conference, big guy probably, who's 25 or 26 years old. It's not the worst thing. We just know it's the complete opposite of KPJ.
It's the Zion sort of draft class era.
Yeah.
My age, 2017, 18 class of.
Let's see, 25, 26-year-old Western Conference. Oh, let's see. Let's get in the right. Who is it?
Like I said, I would go Zion.
Yeah, problem is Zion wears the number 1, so we need a higher number.
Western Conference,
and it's got to be a guy that's 6'7" or above.
Okay.
Honestly, is Jackson Hayes?
Dude, I was gonna say Jackson Hayes.
All right, let's go Jackson Hayes.
I was gonna say him.
He was a lottery pick in that draft, right? And he's the exact same age. So Western Conference, 6'11" or 6'10", right under the 7-foot mark. Not in the Pacific Division.
Could this be Walker Kessler?
Walker Kessler. I feel like he's younger.
Okay.
I feel like he's younger. That's not bad though. We need that. We need that type of player.
Yeah, right. Or
Robert Williams. Gosh, I feel like he wears I'm trying to think of his jersey.
Single digit.
Because it's a weird I think it's a weird jersey number now that he's in Portland. But let's try it. We could try it. And just
could be like 44.
That's what he was in Boston.
Okay.
Got number 35, and that's exactly what it is.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Okay, so it's not Pacific, it's not Northwest, so it's number 35 for someone in the Southwest. So Memphis Grizzlies. Who's number 35 in Memphis? I feel like someone is. I can't think of him right now, though. So Houston. No one wears 35 in Houston.
Yeah,
Dallas.
This is why it really helps to have more people.
Yeah, and New Orleans. I think it's got to be a Memphis. Is it Memphis?
I feel like it's either Memphis or New Orleans.
Oh, this is tough. I feel like it's a guy that just got moved to a new team. Because you know who was is Marvin Bagley?
Okay,
is now on the Grizzlies. And he's
worn the 35.
He's won the number 35 before. He's a big guy.
That's a good guess.
Want to try it? Let's try it. Marvin Bagley. Former 2nd overall pick. We got it. All right.
Did we have him on here before?
I don't know. I don't know if we've ever had him before.
We might be going back to the runaround. I mean, we're on episode. Well, we probably started doing this round. I don't even know what episode.
Yeah, I don't know what episode we started doing the PERTL, but
We'll have to
Marvin
go back and
Bagley
look.
got it in 4. Let us know in the comments down below how long it took you guys to get
Not
Marvin
bad.
Bagley. But let's get into some news across the NBA over the last couple weeks. And really today we're going to focus on a lot of the races that are going on the rest of the way, looking at the conference standings. So first, let's talk about the top of the conference standings, because the top 3 teams in the NBA have basically been locked up for the whole season, with Oklahoma City, Cleveland, and Boston. And the Thunder and the Celtics just took each other on for the second and final time this regular season Wednesday night in Boston. Very competitive game, but the Thunder were able to pull that victory out. 118-112, I believe, was the final score, thanks to big-time plays down the end by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who continues his sensational season. Nick, what did you really get from that game between these two incredible teams?
Well, I think the big thing was that the Thunder won their minutes when Shai was off the court too. Like, it was their role guys and their bench and everybody from, like, iHeart to Jalen Williams all kind of like did what they needed to do for the Thunder to win on any given night. And they went into Boston and beat the champs.
Yeah, and it was certainly a big time victory without J Dub in this game. Still get confused between the two, but with Jalen Williams out for this game, Aaron Wiggins started.
That's
Didn't
a huge
score,
win.
but it didn't even score, and it still didn't matter. They still got great contributions from everyone throughout the lineup, and that's just how they've been all season long. And it's Chet Holmgren with the 23 points and 15 rebounds, 3 3-pointers as well. Lou Dort has been great from 3 all season long. And defensively, just did a great job against this Celtics team. I think Mark Daigneault talked about it in the between quarter interview about how with the Celtics, a team that great, you're not going to be able to really stop them from shooting threes. That's what they want to do. So you just need to make it as difficult as possible. And to start the game off, I thought the Celtics got a lot of makeable threes, but they just kept on shooting them. I mean, they shot 63 3-pointers in this game, made 20 of them, which, only accounts for 32% from deep. And that's, I mean, a lot of their guys just really weren't hitting from deep. Jaylen Brown really didn't have that great of a game in this one. And that's just going to be something to watch for with the Celtics going forward. If Kristaps Porzingis is going to be injured, going into the postseason, if the Celtics are able to generate enough offense that isn't just a whole bunch of 3-point shots.
Yeah, I don't know if they're happy with that shot profile. And honestly, I don't know if OKC would be happy with giving up that shot profile either. I feel like that's a lot of threes to give up. Like, I wouldn't want to give up that many looks. But if you only hit them at 20 for 63 is it's like a 33% clip. It's not great, but yeah, no, I think you're right. Like, you need some other offensive production, like scoring around the rim or just anything else. Transition.
Yeah, or even rim penetration, getting to the free throw line, and that's something that the
Right.
Thunder did and had been doing recently, mainly with Shai. I know everyone talks about how he draws fouls and how he gets to the free throw line and does it at an elite rate, and he knocks them all down. He did that in this game. I mean, he nearly took more free throws than the entire Celtic team in this one. He was 10 for 11 at the line. The Celtics shot just 12 free throws. But, I mean, that's something that I've been seeing a lot was Celtic fans after the game complaining about the free throw numbers, that it was 35-12. But if you're going to shoot 63 threes, then you're not going to get to the line.
Right. Exactly right.
So, it's got to be finding that balance, because it's true. I mean, if the Thunder are going to shoot 35 free throws, I mean, it's going to be difficult when you're not getting to the line as much. But a lot of that, again, was because the 3-point shot wasn't going down. But getting back to kind of the free throw thing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I feel like that's been a huge talking point online and across the media for the last month or so. What are your thoughts on how he draws fouls and that ability to just get to the line?
I don't have too much of an opinion either way. I think he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Personally, I think that it's a very smart way to play the game. I mean, if you're a 90% free throw shooter, then you should find ways to get to the free throw line and get easy points and also rack up fouls on the other team's best perimeter defender, because that's going to be the player that's defending him for the most part. I feel like if other players have a problem with how he draws fouls, they need to stop fouling him. Like it's difficult. It's the same thing that happened when James Harden was in his prime getting the free throw line.
Yeah.
Everyone was kind of complaining about the ways that these stars are able to get to the line, but I mean, this is just an extra bonus for these players, and it's a legit skill that these guys have. That's what makes these top scorers. I mean, all the top free throw shooters in the game, as far as attempts, are all the top scorers in the game. It's all part of their arsenal.
No, absolutely. You're right on that. With the Harden thing though, like they changed the rules for Harden. If it becomes like something that the NBA has to change the rules for, then they'll look into that. Like, because sometimes he does pump fake, let the guy like jump into him a little bit, and then jump like to the right. It's not a natural jump shot motion, and sometimes he gets away with that, and they don't call an offensive foul. But I would like to see like that specifically. Like I don't like seeing that. Like if you're gonna pump fake and then shoot, that's great. But like if you're gonna pump fake and then jump into somebody, it's not a natural shot, then maybe that rule should be looked at.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you said. I mean, I feel like that was supposed to be a point of emphasis at the beginning of the season. I feel like it happens every year where we have a point of emphasis for the officials
Slowly
at the beginning of the
degrades.
season. Yeah, we get it a lot to start, and then it drains off, and now we don't really have much variance in it at all. Because you're right. I mean, that sort of thing where if you pump fake, lean off to the side, and it's a non-natural shooting motion, that should be called an offensive foul, or at least be nothing, at that point. I mean, I guess if there was anything that I would have to complain about with the officiating, which I know officiating, I'm always a guy that's like, I give the benefit of the doubt to the officials a lot, because that's a very hard, job to do with the speed of the game, specifically at the, NBA level. But I wish that they did emphasize the flopping rules a little bit more and actually penalize it in the game, because we really don't get any flops called during the game, but everyone flops. So it's like, it's hard
What's
to
the rule for?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out if there's a rule for it at all, if these players are allowed to just flail away, and if that really is allowed and there's no real penalty for it. But either way, I thought that was just something to talk about there, because that's something that a lot of people are talking about with Shea, especially with the MVP discussion that we could get to in a little bit. But Thunder Celtics? This obviously a potential NBA Finals preview here between these two elite squads here. Is there anything else you want to talk about with these two teams and the matchup from Wednesday?
Just that we should make sure that we asterisk it with the fact that Jalen Williams was not playing and KP was still out as well.
Yeah, for sure. And
That's
hopefully, if it came down to a playoff series, hopefully everyone could be healthy, because this would just be a fantastic series to watch. That's something that I would love to see for sure. But before we move on, I guess we've talked. I mean, the Thunder and Celtics just played on a Wednesday, so easy to talk about those two at the top of the standings. But the Cleveland Cavaliers have still not lost in a while. They're on a 15-game winning streak again. Their third 12-plus game winning streak of the season. Their second of 15 games, tying a franchise record that was set when they started 15-0. Is there anything that you've been able to – has anything really been added to your opinion of the Cavaliers over this stretch?
They just seem like they're getting stronger and stronger. I think they're going to continue to play better and better, and we'll just have to see if they can like make it happen when the lights are the brightest, and like take control of the moment when they get there in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's really all they can wait
That's really
for
all I
here.
got. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all they could take care of. They got to just take care of business the rest of the regular season. I mean, my biggest important thing for these teams at the top here, considering that they're the Cavs, Thunder, and Celtics are basically locked into where they are, is to just make sure that your guys are healthy when it matters most in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you have to take some games, take some losses the rest of the way just to make sure guys are healthy, I think that's the way to go. I know a lot of Cavs fans are like, man, if they could go for 70 wins, that'd be incredible. It's incredible that we're at the point that they could still potentially do this.
Yeah.
But I'm saying only if you get the 70 wins, that's good. But to me, it's only if it's as a product of continuing to rest your guys and everyone else kind of gets the job done, because playoffs are obviously where it matters for these teams at the top.
Yeah, I mean, they have one goal.
To win that, to lift up that Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the season. That's definitely going to be great to watch for in the playoffs. I cannot wait for it with those three contenders. But the rest of these teams are still trying to figure things out in the standings as well. But before we get to that, let's talk about the MVP race with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Talk about his incredible performance against the Boston Celtics, coming off of back-to-back games against his competitor in the MVP race, Nikola Jokic, against Denver. They split the 2 games in Oklahoma City. Both guys played great in both games. Shai versus Jokic, both guys having incredible seasons. Nick, where are you currently at on March 13th, 2025 with the MVP race with 1 month left to go?
Well, I would be higher on Jokic. Well, here, let me just say that these two dudes are both like having MVP years, like you said. I don't think either of them would be a wrong decision to like write their name down to win the award. But just with the nature of the award and the history and the fact that Jokic has won it 2 out of the last 3 years, it's probably gonna go to Shea because it's just like that's it. It's hard to get 3 in 4 years. It's only been done one time before by LeBron James. Not saying that Jokic isn't in that category. What he's been doing the last 4 years is that level for sure.
Yeah, because that's the thing. He has done it 3 of the last 4 years. With 3 of the last 4, but 4 and 5 years is something that would be incredible.
And okay, my bad.
So but still, same point. LeBron and Jokic would, still 3 and 4 years.
Okay, thanks for correct. Okay, but the other thing is like, if it was a true tie, like, which is pretty close in terms of level of value that each of them bring to their team, then you would be like, okay, well, who's got the better record? Who's the 1 seed? And it's like OKC. So he's kind of got both of those things going for him.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably the thing that I would bring up too. That's probably the 2 biggest things that Shai has going for him is the fact that the Thunder are 12 games ahead of the number 2 seed in the West, which is saying something for how great of a conference it is that he's got a deep Thunder team. Obviously, it isn't just Shai, but the Thunder are 12 games ahead of everyone else having a historic season to their right. And also that Jokic has won it 3 of the last 4 years. And is voter fatigue a real thing? I mean, that's a legit question. That's a big reason why LeBron in his heyday doesn't have more MVPs than just the 4 and the 5 years that he got with Cleveland and Miami. But the crazy thing is with Jokic is the fact that he has won the MVP 3 of the last 4 years, and he's having his best season this year. He's somehow even better. I feel like that's what a lot of Jokic fans would say to the Shai argument that he's.
I feel like you can make the same. Couldn't you make the argument for Giannis that his numbers are just as good, if not better, than his MVP years? I mean, I'm not familiar, but I feel like his numbers are off the charts this year as well.
Yeah, Giannis's numbers are off the charts as well.
Are they better than his MVP or no?
I mean, they're right around. So in Giannis's MVP years, he was averaging 28, 13, and 6, then 30, 13, and 6. Now he's averaging 31, 12, and 6. So basically similar numbers. Difference was the Bucks were the number 1 seed both of the years he got MVP. And this year they've been a little bit more inconsistent. We'll talk about that race. They're fighting to get home court in the Eastern Conference. And when looking at the Western Conference, that's something that Denver could be fighting for as well. They're only 1 game, they're barely in 3rd place. I mean, they're in a neck and neck tie there with the other teams there. So it's going to be a crazy race. But Nick, you think that it will go to Shai?
Yeah, I just think Jokic has too much of a hill to climb.
Yeah, I think it's really hard not to give it to Jokic, but I mean, it's hard not to give it to Shea as well. I mean, the scoring numbers that he's done this year, it's incredible. I mean, he's had
60 straight
60.
games with 20 points or more.
That is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't think people are bringing that up enough, in a
That's
league where
insane.
obviously offense, has increased and the talent is greater than it's ever been. But Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he's obviously the best scorer in the NBA, statistically. And going into every night, I mean, you're playing against the Thunder, who are best team in the Western Conference, a legit title contender. Every team is giving them their best shot and trying to figure out ways to stop Shea from being successful.
No one has an answer.
No one has had an answer. No one has had an answer. He's had 20 and 60 straight games, as you just said. And the Thunder have been rolling, all season long as well. So it's really hard not to give it to, to either of those guys. I'm trying to find, when was that?
It had to be one of the first games of the year. You on Basketball Reference game log?
He's had one game under 20 this year, and it was the fourth game of the year against San Antonio.
What do you
where
have?
he had 18 points. So, that was his worst game of the season. So yeah, man, just an incredible year for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
4 shots blocked by Wemby.
He shot a whole lot of threes in that game. That was early in the year when he was taking a lot more threes, trying to get more volume on those. Since then, he's gotten back to just firing away from mid-range, the occasional three here or there, and it has gotten him to this point where he could win MVP. But both of those guys, like you said, Nick, would be very deserving, and they're going to be head-to-head the rest of the season. So I'm excited to see who we will eventually have in our award show at this time next month. Moving on here, let's take a look at the standings. We'll start with the Eastern Conference. So Cleveland is basically completely locked into the number 1 seed in the East. Boston, right underneath the Cavs, basically locked into number 2. Same thing with the Knicks at 3, despite the Jalen Brunson ankle injury. They've gotten back-to-back big-time victories with a blowout in Sacramento and the wild finish in Portland on Wednesday. That was unbelievable. So then you go down to this 4, 5, and 6 nonsense in the East with the Bucks, Pacers, and Pistons all tied in the games back column for 4th in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks with a 36-28 record. They're about to get a victory against the Lakers, so they'll be 37-28. Pacers have the 36-28 record as well. I'm checking to see if they play tonight as well. I don't think they do. No, they do not. And then Detroit, oh man, losing to the Washington Wizards tonight. So they're going to fall a game back. They're going to be 37-30 in the standings. But crazy nonsense in the middle of the Eastern Conference, but very, very important, as very important to get that 4-5 matchup and wanting to get home court advantage in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it feels like this is going to be the Indy-Milwaukee series. That's kind of what I'm guessing, that Detroit slips down to 6. But anything can happen. It could be Milwaukee at 6. Who knows? But I do think it'll be important for whoever gets home court, because all those 3 teams are pretty. I mean, once Cade, we haven't been able to see Cade in a playoff series, but I'm excited for that. I think he's going to have a big time impact in whoever he goes against in the first round. And Pistons are hungry, so I think it'll be important for either the Bucks or the Pacers to get home court. Did you see Indiana has a new all-time leading rusher in yards per game in the last 4 seconds of regulation?
Dude, that play was absolutely incredible with Tyrese.
Yeah, it was.
Bro, were you watching that game live, or did you see it?
No, I saw it the next morning, and then I saw Mad Dog it was Windy, Mad Dog, and Stephen A on First Take talking about it, and Mad Dog was fired up.
It was absolutely incredible, and I mean, it's even crazier to think, how long of a season it is in the regular season. 82 games, however many episodes we record in a podcast, however many storylines we cover, and the fate of the Bucks and Pacers season could come down to that one play.
Yeah.
Because they're fighting for home court in the playoffs, and that play could do it. So I broke things down a little bit with head-to-head matchups between these two teams. So the Bucks and the Pacers, they had that play on Tuesday night, which was incredible because Milwaukee had already won the first 2 meetings of the season series. So they were about to go up 3-0 and win the season series.
Kept it alive.
Tyrese Halliburton gets the 4-point play off the football play by the Pacers there. They win that game, and then the Pacers play in Milwaukee on Saturday. So that's a huge game to watch between those two teams, because if Milwaukee wins it, they will have the tiebreaker. But if not, if the Pacers are able to win that game, then I believe that they would have the tiebreaker because they have the better division record in that case. Yep. So that's going to be important. Whoever wins that game will have the season series and most likely have home court in a first round series if they were tied. So that's a huge game to watch. And like we saw in the playoffs last year with the Pacers and the Bucks, and even in the regular season, just lots of little rivalries going on. I don't know if you call them rivalries, but we've gotten little scuffles in those games. Same thing with Pacers Pistons. Whatever matchup we get with the Pacers, whether it's the Bucks or the Pistons, there will be high tensions, flaring in a series. So I'm excited for that.
Yes, always Isaiah Stewart.
Yes, always with Isaiah Stewart. But Milwaukee will have a huge say in what they basically control their destiny in this situation because of the Pacers game on Saturday. And crazy enough, their final 2 games of the regular season are against the Detroit Pistons. So
that's right. I remember.
So both of those games against Detroit could definitely make things interesting. If it goes down to a scenario where, hey, maybe the Bucks would rather play the Pistons than the Pacers since Indiana beat Milwaukee the previous year, and the Bucks kind of throw those games maybe towards the end.
Give them the 5 seed.
Yeah, but then does that mean that they lose home court advantage?
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of things that could happen, but you could say it's all really in Milwaukee's hand really here.
Yeah, and they've been playing well.
Yeah, they have been playing well, and again, going to get a big victory against the Lakers here as we are recording. And then you just have this weird 7 through 10 in the Eastern Conference with all these teams below 500. Atlanta's been playing very well since the trades. Chicago's been very fun as of late. Josh Giddey has low-key been one of the better surprising players in the league over the last month or so. But interested to hear your take on this. So I feel like this season, and we're obviously going to get to the Western Conference standings as well with just all these teams in the East, like the Chicago Bulls going to make the play-in tournament most likely, and they could be 10-plus games below 500. And teams in the Western Conference like the Suns that may miss it entirely. Do you think that the NBA should explore the 1 through 16 postseason or playoff format here with teams like the Bulls potentially making it when they really maybe don't want to?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a wild scenario.
Yeah, that would be better. It would be better if the Suns were in than the Bulls.
Absolutely.
Even if they had to play like the Cavs in the first round if they went to is that how it would work?
Yeah, I wonder how that would work. Like if it would be maybe it would be a 20 seed playoff thing now that you have the play-in. I don't know how it would work in that scenario, but I feel like now
it would be a 20 seed, and then whoever's the best out of the play-in, or whoever's like the lowest seed out of the play-in, that's who the one best overall gets to play.
Yeah, something like that.
It would have to work like that.
Something like that. But I feel like that could work. I feel like we're at the point with travel that it wouldn't be that crazy anymore. I mean, to have that happen. And I think that would just make for better basketball and make for better situations.
No one wants to see the Bulls in the playoffs. Sorry. No,
I mean, the Bulls, we're going to get a Bulls. I don't even know what we'll end up getting, but Bulls in the play-in, that's just not really what we need to see at this point. It's probably not even what the fans really want to see either. One play-in game, but just some food for thought for the league there. But let's go over to the Western Conference. Oklahoma City, huge lead in the conference, like we talked about before. They have that locked up basically already. So then you have 2 through 5, which is separated by 1 game, which is currently ordered between Memphis, Denver, the Lakers, and the Houston Rockets. The Rockets continue to stay alive after every single time that they go on a little bit of a subpar stretch where you think, all right, this is their time where they're going to go back down. They've won their last 4 games, playing great defensively again, and they're 1 game behind the 2nd seed right now in the Western Conference. Nick, what do you want to talk about with these 2 through 5 teams?
I really don't know where it's going to end up between those guys. I mean, I think that Denver's the best out of those. If I've ranked them, I would probably go Denver, LA. Honestly, I got Houston above Memphis now because Jaren Jackson's been out for a little while. Ja just doesn't look like the Ja from before the incident and the shoulder injury. It's almost
Yeah.
like Desmond Bane's running the offense, and I don't like that for Memphis. And to go what you said about Houston, like they just keep finding ways to like convince me that they know who they are and their identity is like a good, solid team that can like potentially take a first round series 7 games, and who knows what happens in game 7. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely is hard to figure out what is going to happen between those teams. The order, I probably agree. I think Denver and LA would be 2-3, but of course, we could go into this with the LeBron James injury, the groin injury suffered against the Celtics. Was that last Saturday? I
yeah,
believe. Yeah, on the primetime game, Lakers and Celtics, which atmosphere was fantastic. First half
yeah.
was a lot of fun to watch. But LeBron, of course, pulling the groin once again, having another groin injury, missing the set of games this week. There was a report from Shams that I think it's a day-to-day injury now. He's
Well, they're
back.
playing Denver, I think the day after tomorrow. I think Saturday again, a week
Yes,
from
I
that
believe they're
injury.
playing Denver. It might honestly even be tomorrow. Are they playing in Milwaukee, Denver back to back? Yes, they are. So
So
they're
that's
playing at Denver tonight as we're
they
recording.
had 7 games in 9 days, so they're taking some L's here.
Yeah, I believe let me see here. I took a look once again at the strength of schedule remaining across the league, and the Lakers still have the 3rd hardest schedule remaining. Phoenix and Sacramento again with the 1st and 2nd hardest schedules, but the Lakers right there at 3rd, and in the midst of this road trip, which they're going to lose in Milwaukee tonight. Then they play at Denver, or I guess tonight as we're recording, and then you have a 5-game homestand to try to hopefully get LeBron back. They're going to play Denver again next Wednesday as well. So, those 2 games could really settle things up a little bit.
Do they have a split in the season series so far?
I think they do. I'll check real quick because they won the game with Luka Doncic that everyone was talking
Right.
about. But yeah, then they lost before, so it's currently a split in the season series, and they play at Denver tonight and then at home against Denver next
Can you just
Wednesday.
read off the records for Denver, LA, Houston, and Memphis?
Yes. So Denver and Memphis are currently 42 and 24. LA is 40 and 24 with this loss Thursday
Yeah.
night. And then Houston is 41 and 25 going into Thursday night.
Okay.
And pretty close between all those sides. Memphis, though, talk about Memphis. I kind of like how they have been playing a little bit recently because with Jaren Jackson out, specifically over these last 5 or so games, Ja Morant has started to look like that
Okay.
number 1 guy once again. Let me see. Over his last 5 games, Ja Morant is averaging 29 points per game with 8 assists on, good efficiency from the rim and from the free throw line. And that's what we were used to
Yeah.
seeing, like 2 years ago
Yeah.
before everything happened with Ja Morant. That's going to be the key to them playing well because they need him to be on his A game. I honestly don't think that they can really do much in the playoffs if Jaren Jackson ends up being the best player or Desmond Bain is the best player. They need Ja Morant to be that all NBA superstar-esque player in order for them
Well,
to,
let me ask you this.
yeah.
If he's 29 and 8 and Jaren is, 3rd team All NBA or whatever awards he's going to get this year, and Desmond Bane's also going for, 5 threes a night, like how far can they go?
Yeah, they can go really far, I think. I think they go. I don't think that they could beat Oklahoma City, in a series. Probably not Denver. I don't know. I'm worried if they have the poise in a head-to-head series, because we kind of saw that in 2023 in the Lakers series where it was a 2-7 matchup. Dylan Brooks obviously was on the Grizzlies, but got into it with LeBron a little bit, and the Grizzlies kind of lost their poise, gave up games, on the road that they were supposed to. And that's where I kind of get worried. I like the Grizzlies team. I love their depth and how they can score offensively in just a bunch of different ways. I'm just not sure if they have the leadership to really get it done in the postseason. What do you think on that?
No, I think your skepticism is coming from a good place. I would share it.
I think I trust the other leaders in the playoffs, whether it's the Thunder fully with Shea and the coaching and all the, the positivity of the young guys, Jokic being Jokic, and then like the Lakers have Luka and LeBron. I mean, that's
what if they put a Desmond Bane trade package deal to Phoenix to bring in KD this summer?
Yeah, they could be a Kevin Durant away from being there,
Right?
They could be. I think they absolutely could be. That's definitely interesting. But yeah, and then Houston, I keep looking for ways to doubt them, but they keep, obviously stepping up and playing well, man. Shout out to the Rockets. Shout out to Jackson Goggins, Houston Rockets here. I'm curious to see what their schedule looks like the remainder of the season, and looking at it, not a whole lot of crazy games here the rest of the way. I mean, they could legitimately win their next 5 or so games here. They've already won their last 4. They play Dallas, Chicago, Philadelphia, then on the road against Orlando and Miami before playing Denver. And then, I mean, really they have winnable games the rest of the way, but it's this final 5-game stretch that they're going to have to watch out for here, because their final 5 games at home against the Thunder, 3-game road trip against the Warriors, Clippers, and Lakers, and then home against Denver to finish things off. So 5 really important games to close out the season. So it's going to be one of those situations that if the Rockets, in my opinion, want to end up as, a higher seed, a 2 or 3 seed in the Western Conference, they need to build up a lead in the next 1 or 2 weeks,
because they're going to drop all 5 of those games.
In the case that they drop some of those games, they need to build themselves a cushion right now. So that's something to watch for here. If the Rockets are able to win over the next 2 or 3 weeks, they should finish high in the standings.
Yeah.
Anything else you kind of want to add here with these 4 teams here?
No, we got to talk about Warriors, right?
Well, yeah, let's talk about the Warriors and the Timberwolves here, 6-7, because that's another thing. It's kind of
the Wolves are still there.
Yeah, it's kind of the race to get out of this play-in tournament mess here, because, I mean, in the Western Conference, I mean, you got teams down here like, I mean, even at the bottom, the Dallas Mavericks obviously injured as heck. We'll see if they can have a magic game, in the play-in to make things interesting. But the Sacramento Kings are playing some solid basketball. They've been a little bit on and off here, but Zach LaVine has been playing great. You've got the Clippers, who have been a pesky defensive team all year, and now they're getting healthy at the 8th seed. And then you got the Timberwolves and the Warriors 6 through 7. So I think it's going to be key to get that 6th spot in the Western Conference and avoid having to fight through the play-in and all those extra games.
Yeah, I don't think you had the Warriors up there on the strength of schedule graphic, but I did see the Timberwolves with only the third least.
Yes.
So that's good for them. I mean, if they can have a strong end of the regular season and finish 6th and not have to worry about the play-in, like they could go in there, like they're an experienced team who made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, who could have some momentum going into the playoffs, as avoiding the play-in. When in the whole season they've been pretty much staring down the play-in.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Minnesota, really, my big thing this whole season is the fact that they have just been so inconsistent, but now they're finally starting to play some, string wins together. They're on a 6-game winning streak, and the stat that's going around is that they have won their last 11 games when Julius Randle plays, and that's because they have consistency throughout their lineup. And when Randle plays, it gives them the benefits of being able to play, good bigs at all times with Randle, Gobert, and Naz Reid. You see the backup positions there at the 4 and 5 positions. If Randle is out and Naz Reid has to start, You're having to play Luka Garza at extra minutes, more McDaniels at the 4, Joe Ingles extra minutes. And that just makes them a much worse basketball team because they're just not very deep. I mean, they have a good top 7, 8 players, which is why they were so, I think, attractive for fans going into the season for a potential playoff push. They've just been kind of injured with Randall being in and out of the lineup. But now that he's been in there, they're winning games, and now they could potentially be a threat to rise in the standings.
Yes, sir.
Now,
what about the Warriors, Miles?
Golden State Warriors, man. Dude, I'll tell you what, man. The Golden State Warriors, they keep on playing well. What you said at the beginning of the season when we did our over-under, Jackson and I both had our bold prediction was that the Warriors were going to be like right at the bottom of the standings because we thought Steph Curry would get injured or something. I think
that was you guys had him like 13.
Yeah, 13. Like 13th. And you said that may end up being my worst take ever. That could be true.
I did say that.
That honestly could be true. And I wouldn't be mad at it at all because I honestly see a world where Golden State rises. They keep on rising because Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green with a bunch of solid and smart role players is a really good team to have come playoff time. And if the Warriors can continue to play this well, avoid the play-in, and get a favorable first round matchup against maybe Houston or Memphis, they are going to have a chance because, I mean, when you look at playoff experience, I don't think you get better in the West than Steve Kerr as your coach with Curry, Butler, and Draymond. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't think anyone have more finals games between that trio. Maybe across the league.
Yeah, final. I mean, maybe just because LeBron is LeBron. But if you count out LeBron, then probably because LeBron probably has a bunch.
Luka's got 5 himself now.
Yeah, Luka's got 5 himself now. But yeah, I mean, just with the experience, I mean, I'm so excited for this playoff round because there's a lot of questions, right? Because at the very top, you have the 2 best records in the NBA with Cleveland and Oklahoma City, who fans and certain media members may be a little bit hesitant on because they haven't made that playoff run yet. But they've been so dominant on both ends in the regular season. They're both so deep.
They should be considered the favorites.
What?
They should both be considered the favorites.
I agree. They both should be considered the favorites, or maybe I think Boston because they've still been elite and they won the title. But as far as regular season goes, it's been another level between the Cavs, the Thunder, and the Celtics, and everybody else. But then there are some people that may believe in the Nuggets, or that should rightfully so should believe in the Nuggets. Still, they have the championship experience and Nikola Jokic, but you may have some people believing that the Lakers and Warriors have a better shot than the Grizzlies or the Rockets because of the experience that they have when those situations, arise.
I definitely think that's a fair argument.
So I just can't wait to see what actually ends up happening because, I want the regular season to kind of matter a little bit. I mainly hope that teams like the Thunder, Cavs do go far and end up in that Final Four. Because, I mean, first, they should go that far. I mean, it'd be a disappointment if they didn't end up that far. But also because, I mean, it would give validation that if you're a young team, you don't necessarily fully need the experience to go deep in the postseason.
Yeah. Did you see Windhorst talking on First Take about how could be his dream finals matchup?
Which one?
Getting to cover LeBron coming to Cleveland to play in the finals.
Yeah, there are so many potential great finals matchups for storylines.
Dude, I can't imagine. I mean, like when he said that, I didn't really give myself the time to like imagine what that would be like to have LeBron come to play the finals against the Cavs.
And incredibly, it could happen. Like there's a world where it happens.
Or even the Warriors again.
Yeah, the Warriors. Yeah, there's a theoretical. I mean, there's a world if you wanted to rank the Western Conference as far as maybe the order of who makes it out of the West. I think OKC has to be number 1 because of how great they've been. But then you could go like Denver, and then a Lakers or Warriors.
I would go there, yeah.
Because of the experience over Memphis or Houston. And then the Timberwolves made a conference finals as well. But there are a ton of great storylines that could happen, in the NBA finals. And that's why I just cannot wait for the playoffs to start. I think this playoffs is going to be something special. I just hope that we don't get a ton of major injuries. Just hope we don't get a ton of major injuries.
Or a pandemic.
That would be awful. It's crazy. We're exactly 5 years from when that all started.
Yeah, I saw a clip on it was the Utah game.
Yeah.
It was Donovan Mitchell. I forget who they were playing, but it was like
It was
the
the
day
Thunder.
The NBA shut. Yeah, that's right.
It was
That's right. It was
Thunder.
Billy Donovan was coaching the Thunder.
Yeah, and it was like the game has been postponed because Rudy Gobert was being Rudy Gobert. But what a crazy time. Already 5 years since then. But yeah, man, just so excited for the rest of this season. We did get some news actually today, day of recording, a team that isn't in the postseason. San Antonio Spurs guard De'Aaron Fox will miss the rest of the season to, I believe, undergo surgery on his right pinky, I believe is the injury news. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense. Spurs, obviously, without Wemby for the rest of the season in the lottery mix of things, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to keep on playing De'Aaron Fox. Just hopeful for speedy recoveries for both of those guys because there's a team in San Antonio that could be cooking something special up next season.
Do you want to tell them about who got hurt today that might be on their team next year?
We should talk about it. We should talk about it. That Cooper Flagg did go down with an ankle injury during the
ACC tournament
today.
Second round versus Georgia Tech.
Yeah, so, Nick, what are your thoughts on this? You're the big college fan here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he should be the number one pick regardless. I don't think this changes anything.
Do you think so? I mean, do you think that there is a situation? So you don't think there's a single situation where he wouldn't go number one in the draft?
I mean, I'm not the expert. You'd have to ask like the GMs.
Yes, well, yes, very, very, very true. But on your draft board, you think Cooper Flagg is the clear number one?
Yeah, I'm not versed enough in Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, and there's another kid from Europe, right? That could be a top. There was another. I don't know.
I'm not totally sure. I've never been good with the incoming prospects as well. Let us know in the comments if you know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out for next episode.
Yeah, we got plenty of time to think about that. But no, that is definitely something to watch for. We'll see if Cooper Flagg. Well, first, how serious the injury is. We're not sure exactly what the deal is with the injury yet. He had to get wheeled out on a wheelchair, so obviously never really looks good when that has to happen. But first, how serious the injury is, and if it's well enough for him to play, if he will play, the rest of the way heading into the tournament and all that.
Right. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it will certainly be interesting to watch out for. And there are a lot of teams that are obviously going out for him. We just saw that the Utah Jazz just got fined because of how they're handling tanking, basically, but not playing certain players. So a lot of
George.
A lot of teams definitely going for him. And now you have even these good teams, maybe not good teams this season, but these teams that will be good next year, with teams like the Sixers, the Spurs, maybe the Blazers, the Pelicans that are going to have a chance in the lottery for Cooper Flagg. And then, of course, these other teams with the Jazz, Wizards, Hornets, Nets, Raptors, if they're going as well. But yeah, it's crazy that we've got a month left in the season, still so many storylines from up and down the entire league. It's just incredible.
A lot to figure out still.
For sure. And we'll be back to figure some more things out on the next episode of the Runnin the Paint podcast.
Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did I say Monday?
No, you didn't say anything.
Oh, I didn't say anything. Okay. All right. We'll be back on Tuesday morning to go over some more news around the NBA and probably talk about some of these games, maybe the Bucks-Pacers game. The Knicks are playing the Warriors as the primetime game of the week this week, so that'll be a lot of fun to watch as well. Nick, you got anything else before we get out of here?
See the Lakers can get back in the win column, or they keep sliding without LeBron.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk about it.
Absolutely. We will talk about it. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.